Handy talkies are great and they are fun to play with if you have a hotspot or if you are in the vicinity of somebody else with DMR. These things are fantastic. However, if you have a local repeater that uses DMR, you're going to want something a little more powerful. This is the RT90, and somewhere on here it says GPS optional, 50 watts for VHF and 45 watts for UHF. So we're going to check all that out and we're going to take a look and see what all comes in here. Howdy everybody, Steve here, KM9G. Today is not new radio day, but I'm still pretty happy because I get to play. We're going to look at the Retevis RT90. Let's get to it. This is a used radio that my friend Don, N5 SKT, sent in for us to take a look at. Has the child-proof opening on it. And then Retevis RT90, just like it says on the outside. That's actually not a bad shape and size. On the back side, we have the standard connector that comes on mobile radios, a little T connector, and an external speaker connection, and we have a data jack. And that data jack is probably for programming only, and it's an old school USB connector 2 or 3 generations ago, because this is an older radio, not a brand new radio. And that's an interesting shape that they have on the head. And the head doesn't appear to be removable, but that's not going to stop us from trying. A couple extra fuses in the box, a power cable that has the T connector on one end, and Don has already put some power poles on the other side and they came apart. That's okay, we'll put them back together, not a big deal. Some mobile mounting hardware, the mobile bracket, and the microphone, and these are the important things that we're going to need. That's a chunky boy microphone. That's pretty good size. It feels good in the hand. All right, let's get her together. And now we have the tower of power setup with the radio on the bottom, the MFJ 849 power meter in the middle, and the cell wave dummy load on top, and all of that is connected through an MFJ power distribution block. For the battery, we're running the Dr. Prepare 100 amp hour battery. Way overkill for this scenario, but it will certainly outlast anything I'm going to do today. Well, I guess luckily, fortuitously, well, it looks like it's on mute to begin with, and high power. I don't have a manual in the box, so I can't tell you how this is set up. There's volume control. The green looks like it's a power button, that's fine. And we have a channel change on the top right here for all the different repeaters that Don has plugged in. And then you can do the same thing with the arrow keys. And then enter gets you into the menu. And there's an escape button here that takes you back out of the menu. P1, high power, low power, medium power, another version of medium power, another version of high power. So let's test these out real quick. Again, I'm plugged into the dummy load. We're keying up on high power. Nice. You can hear the thing. You can hear the fan kind of oscillating on there. So high power, 28.6 watts out. We'll switch it to low power. 7.25 watts out. Medium low. 12. Medium. 18. And then back to high. 28. Interesting that we're not getting the full power out. There might be some more settings inside here, but we'll take care of that in just a minute. So we're going to push P2, see what P2 does. P2 did something, but I don't know what it did. P3 and P4. P4 also looks like a power setting, and we are in analog mode by the big A there. Let's go and hit band, digital, and it switched our power level. 29 watts on digital. Analog and digital, those are your choices. And there's an unlock there. All right, let's check out the menus. Inside the menu we have contacts. Nope, that's not how you go through the menu. Inside the menu we have contacts, and you use the up and down arrow to go through the menu. Scan, zone, messages, call log, utilities. Okay, so in contacts, new contact, manual dial, view contacts. Scan is not doing anything at all. Zone, zone list. So he's got a McKinney zone, or you can create a new zone. Messages, Inbox. Nobody sent Don any messages. Write. Quick text. Hello. Who would I send that to? Ah, okay. This is actually pretty intuitive. Contacts. Pick the first contact. And message send failed. I guess it didn't get a response back from the repeater on digital mode. Call log. He didn't miss any calls. Calls answered. He didn't answer any calls. Calls outgoing. He didn't make any calls. Utilities. Radio settings. Talk around, tones, alert, power. Oh, it's mid-low. Okay. Low, mid-low, mid, and high. We went through those already on what I assume is UHF, but I have no way of knowing yet. Backlight. Backlight time, always, is what it's set to, so that will always be on. Backlight level. There's 1. Oh, that's pretty dim. 2. I didn't notice a difference there. 3. 3's brighter. Squelch. Squelch is set to 1 currently, but lots of versions of Squelch. We'll leave it at 1. Intro screen. Change it to a picture. Picture turn on. Okay. Let's see what that intro screen looks like. Powering down. No picture at all. It came up a lot faster this time. Powering down. We'll give it a 10 count. Yep, no picture. I guess you have to upload a picture. Utilities. Radio settings. Keypad lock, password lock, clock. So you can set the time, date, and time zone. That's not bad. Mode, channel mode or MR mode. See, to me that would be 2 different versions of memory. Put it into MR mode. See what that's about. There we go. So it's still channels, but it's showing you the frequency of the channel. Contact CSV, I guess you can import and export. We'll leave that the way it is. P call match, G call match, menu hang time, TX mode, last channel plus H for high power, I guess. Designed channel plus high power, those are your choices. And designed channel plus high is the last setting, is the save setting. Power off time. So you can have this thing set to turn off 30 minutes, 60 minutes, or 120 minutes. Okay, don't know why I'd want that. And then we're back to the top of the radio settings menu. Radio info, my number, view, and that would be Don's DMR number. Give him a call sometime. Radio num list, so you can have more than 1 DMR ID assigned. And then the versions. This is firmware version 6.009 and codeplug version 1.24. Program radio, and then you can edit the frequencies right there from the menu. That's nice. That's the end of utilities, and that's the end of the menu. Now if we go back out, we're on VHF. Let's see if that was our VHF power. Yep, so 29 on VHF, and this is UHF. And there's 38, almost 40 watts out. I wonder if this radio is just a little tired or if that's just the way it was. The codeplug software kind of stunk, but I'm not sure if it's because of how old the radio is and how new the operating system is, but I was having some trouble with it locking up. I finally did get it to program and made a QSO on it. This RT90 is doing the job. I'm looking forward to putting OpenGD77 on it, and I believe that works with your RT3 as well.
And that's exactly what it's running. It was kind of a hum radio until I found the OpenGD77 stuff and put it on it, and then it became a completely usable radio, and I didn't regret buying it 1 iota. It was super cheap to get into the DMR channel with, and not anywhere near as complex or problematic as the stock firmware.
Of course, for the QSO, I'm using the dummy load as my radiating antenna and putting out about 7 watts. I'm not sure how much the dummy load is attenuating that, but just enough that my Pi-Star hotspot is happy and not getting overloaded. Now that we proved that it worked, let's take it apart and see if we can break it. Not a whole lot going on inside. It definitely is not an HT in mobile clothing. That big white thing right there, that's your final transistor that you're looking for. And then some filtering. And then radio on a chip, that's an ARM. STM32 on an ARM. So this is definitely going to be able to be upgraded with some awesomeness. So of course, look for a video on the channel with some upgrade awesomeness. I already checked before I opened this up, and it is capable of supporting the OpenGD77 firmware, so I'm going to be having some fun playing with that. And then when you looky right there, it says MD9600UV. So this actually is also a TYT radio, and I was wondering if Retevis made this first and TYT cloned it, or if TYT made it first and Retevis cloned it. And with it having the TYT part number on the motherboard, it looks like Retevis is the one that did the cloning. It's all good in my neighborhood. I'm okay with that. And then this is actually pretty interesting. I took the screws off of the top and the screws off of the bottom, and you can see this would be pretty easy to have a detachable faceplate. All you need to do is get an extendable ribbon cable there, and you have a pretty clean setup. Maybe a 3D print to get a mount for the head unit, and then you could have a pretty decent hide this mobile away and keep this faceplate on the dash where it's necessary. They do have a module that has a GPS option on it, but I don't see anything that looks like a GPS module to me in here, and I don't see any spot where it would be missing. So maybe it's a totally different circuit board for the MD9600UV-G model. I don't know what they call it. I am in a not very new car. This is a 99 Ford Expedition, and that might be the only place to mount it, which would not make my passenger very happy. But other than that, it's a pretty big body for a radio. So, I mean, that's just the head on the 7100 that is mounted on a special mounting bracket that is custom made for this car. And then the body of that radio hides out underneath the passenger seat, kind of out of the way. With the included mounting bracket that these radios come with, they might be really suitable for like a 1960s era car where there's room underneath of the dashboard to hide stuff, or maybe up above the sun visors, and lower the whole thing down a bit to make room for the radio up there. But cars don't come with standard size car stereos. This might be the last generation of car that came with a standard size car stereo, and that would be really neat to plug it into the car stereo spot. But now that cars have flat screens in the display and all kinds of broken technology that doesn't work, where are you going to put your mobile radio? All right, we've got the code plug all sorted out, and it's got my name on there in the beginning. I like that. We just put the radio back together, and KM9G testing parrot.
KM9G testing parrot.
And she still works. The power on DMR is going to be a little bit off because of the way DMR works. Oh look, I missed a call. What did I miss a call from? I didn't miss the call. I was right here. So the power on DMR, as I was saying, fluctuates because of the way the DMR signals. Let's switch it over to something more analog, like the 2-meter call. And we are on high power into the dummy load, which is sitting on top of the power meter. Testing 1, 2, 3, testing 1, 2, 3. So almost 40 watts out. And then that's just where it paused. 37.29. Let's switch over to 70 centimeters. KM9G testing 70 centimeters. And 30 watts out. So 40 on 2 meters and 30 on 70 centimeters. Not what is written on the box, but not bad altogether. That is a quick look at the Retevis RT90 radio. There will be links for this radio in the description down below, and also for the TYT version of this thing. I'm going to give a big shout out to Don N5SKT for sending this thing in. If you like watching old radios come back to life on a new video, then this is the channel for you. Be sure you are subscribed. The next thing that we've got coming up for this radio is putting the OpenGD77 firmware on it. Pass or fail, we're going to talk about it. In the meantime, there's a video right over here I think you'll enjoy next. Thanks for being awesome. I'll see you over there.